We are Squawking Dead, a podcast pulverizing episodes beyond the Walking Dead universe. Sometimes we give you news, sometimes we make you laugh, but most times we go deep.
Deep like a vault.
Yeah. I'm your host, David Cameo, and I'm joined by Cosmom09 Rachel Burt, Sharon D, aka Blazy Gardner,
Hello.
and Karina, who you can reach on Instagram at CARINAE_D. Today we're here to talk about Fallout's 7th episode. We're so close to the finish line. The radio. Yeah, but see, here's the difference between us and the rest of the world who, well, including you and Karina, and not me and Rachel. It's very salty, David.
Look.
Watch the episode all the way to the end. We stretch the experience out over time. Over 2 months, it seems like. It feels like. And so we're just extending the good times, giving you the details that you missed because you watched the series way too fast. So we're at the penultimate episode of the season, quote unquote. Or is it a mid-season break? Because it feels like we're getting to the point where maybe a whole bunch of things will get revealed in the next episode. It's very difficult for me not to watch it. But we're going to cover this episode today, the radio. And are they going to give up all the ghosts in the next episode? I don't think so. From the sound of things thus far, from our coverage, from things Karina has said that I cannot help to pick up. It seems like we get a lot of answers, but we don't get everything, it feels like. So let's not go there just yet. Let's say hi to Francisco in the chat.
Hi, Francisco.
He says, one more episode left. The ending is a burst of plot twists.
A burst.
A version of expectations on a degree that is ridiculous. He's not saying this, I'm saying this. So this is ridiculous. In the meantime, we should do the thing where we have to consistently plug our t-shirts. So first of all, let's focus on what Sharondy's wearing, which is the Bridget and Dave and Rachel and Sharondy design. She has on a white text and blue background. I'll throw a couple of images of that right now. You can get it in a t-shirt. You can get it on a mug. You can get it on a sticker. You can get it on not everything. Relax. You can get it on a lot of things. But you can also get our Squawk Tech t-shirts. We've got the ones with the yellow accent and the darker backgrounds, I think it is. And then we have the blue accents with the lighter backgrounds, as well as our Squawking Fallout t-shirt. And I'm wearing it right now. And so, yeah, you have it in the background of your video. But yes, I have it on black background and yellow accent. Ooh, that's right. There you go. That's for the visual audience. I can't even describe it. But if you want to get your own t-shirt / laptop bag / hoodie / mug of these designs and more, you can head over to Squawking Dead.
All in one, by the way. You get all of those.
You just get all of them in one. It's a big hybrid of a thing that you don't want, but has a cool design. You can head over to squawkingdead.com, tap the main menu on the top left and choose merch, or you can use the link in the description if you're watching this on YouTube, and away you go. You should at least check them out. That's for sure. We also have the ones who squawk designs, the art and logo designs, which I thought were really cool. I think you should check them out as well. Oh, now I have to put them on the screen. Anyway.
For being called the radio, we didn't spend much time at the radio station. I don't know. Maybe you'll tell me why I'm wrong, David. You're good at that.
Nah, I felt that way about the last few episodes, but
okay.
Well, there is the radio that Thaddeus has that he uses to find the radio station. Wait, there's another one though. When we see Cooper Howard in the past, he is listening to William Cool Papa Jarvis's Yeah, Baby. The ghoul gets to the Red Rocket station, flashes back to the past where he's tampering with Barb Howard's Pip-Boy, and so that's going on the radio. So there is a loose thread that waves through like radio waves.
I was very shocked to see Eric Estrada. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
He was so great.
Yes.
Right?
So good.
Yes.
By the way, I think that's what colored it's just bleeding into my impression, like colored my perceptions of the ghoul, because he heard Eric Estrada's family.
I know.
So I was like, don't you dare. And Eric Estrada acted his ass off in that scene. So well. I was kind of taken aback because the last thing I saw Eric Estrada in several times was infomercials. But then he put on his acting pants and he acted the crap out of those scenes. I was like, yeah.
He was on an episode of Scrubs, but that might have been after the infomercial or before. Before, yeah. Shut up. I watch old shows. I just watch them over and over.
I just want to yell out Francisco's comment about his thoughts on the episode. He says, my thoughts about this episode: F communists! Which I feel like for all the talk about Miss Williams, aka Moldaver, for all that talk, it doesn't feel like she's a communist. At least
I loved her line.
First appearances.
I loved her line. I'm not a communist.
That's just a dirty word they use to describe people who aren't insane.
I feel like because of the things we discovered throughout previous episodes about Cooper Howard and why he isn't Vault-Tec's literal poster child, I feel like he's going to get the same treatment. And it has nothing to do with communism whatsoever. Does that mean that Moldaver isn't absolutely bananas? I don't know. I haven't watched ahead. I'm so salty. I'm so sorry.
The shade.
So,
I know. The shade,
the
David.
fruit is hanging. It's just in the tree, and it's I don't pluck it.
I just want to say overall, I love the show. I really enjoyed it. Like, I feel like we're getting close to wrapping some stuff. And of course, I think that Thaddeus is now my favorite character. He made me laugh so hard. This was probably the funniest episode out of all of them.
How did you feel about the ghoul as a result of this episode, Cooper Howard? Because I had said something prior to, and I said, I really don't like the ghoul this episode.
Yeah.
I don't mind what he did. I mean, I'm not saying he should go around killing little kids. I also feel like once he realized who Moldaver was, he doesn't care who he hurts because he wants to get to her.
I had the same rationalizations.
I understand what he did. Do I like it? No. Did it make me dislike him? No, because I see his reasoning. And also, Eric Estrada needed to be paying attention to what his dang kid was.
I come to the same rationalizations, though.
He also saved the dog. You know,
I knew that was coming.
That way tips the
Save
scale.
the dog.
That way tips the scale in my favor.
On the other side. Meanwhile, I'm like, it's not Roosevelt, obviously.
You're like, you should have closed up the air hole.
No. As evidence from our coverage of Fear the Walking Dead, I do have a soft spot for the domesticated animals, at least when Rufus died. Well, by the way, in the subtitles, Rufus is literally spelled Roofus. Just so you know.
That's also an acceptable spelling.
Is it like Kaiser?
Yeah, probably.
Okay. And I get your reasoning on why he felt it was necessary to do what he did to that kid.
Could have just shot him in the foot or something.
That's what everybody says. It's a wasteland. I get the rationale. I get it.
But the point he was making is like, you're going to come after me someday. And I don't want to be looking over my shoulder. In this world, I can understand.
Yeah.
You know, I can tie this theme to, I can't believe I'm making this tie, to the snake oil salesman near the middle-ish end. Because I see this guy. He's about to shoot himself in the mouth head. And he's suiciding his face.
Yeah.
And
with pink toenail polish.
I didn't notice that, but he's just a ghouly looking character. But anyway, I noticed that he perks up as soon as he sees a customer. It's like he has purpose again. He just comes alive again. It's like, oh, I got a pep in my step. I got a customer. But it's just like that. It's just he comes from wanting to kill himself immediately to having a purpose again. It's the same thing as the scene with the ghoul in shooting the boy, because he feels like he has a lot to lose. Whatever mission that Cooper Howard's on, he has something to lose. He cannot afford to be stopped. Someday after, he doesn't know how long it's going to take to do what he needs to do to get to who he needs to get to. So I feel like there's something in there about having something to lose. And when you have something to lose, you don't want to die. Does that make sense? I felt that in those two moments.
Yeah.
There's no other reason to kill that kid.
Now that he knows Moldaver is who she is.
Miss Williams.
Yeah, Miss Williams. I have a very interesting little callback from episode, I want to say 2, when they're leaving Philly with Ziggy, and he's just had his foot replaced with that machine thing.
Oh, Ziggy Wilson.
And he's limping out, and the doctor guy, the snake oil salesman, was like, I can fix feet. I can replace your foot. I can fix anything. I was like, that's
Do you remember
cool.
what I said? I said, it might actually be true. But how? We don't know. It might be true. For all we can tell, John Daly can actually do that. But it comes at a price.
He is also the chicken effer.
Yes.
or as Karina said,
probably why he smells so bad.
Chicken
probably
molester.
Why he smells so bad.
Right.
Oh, gosh.
I sure trust somebody smelled like that.
Oh, my God. I swear, Thaddeus made me laugh every time he was on screen. By the way, Rachel, when Dennis and I were watching it, he took his sock off, Dennis was like, that looks like something Rachel would do.
I could have,
Wait,
but that whole thing was
why?
CGI'd.
It was so gross.
Yeah, it really was gross.
So
No,
what you saying? Rachel would literally walk it off?
No, I'm
I
saying
could.
she could do
I
the
would
makeup.
make
Like her
I could make-
special effects. Yeah.
Oh, but she would also do that. Who needs doctors?
Just
I'll
walk it
walk it off. Be a man.
How
I
far
mean,
did
you're
he
not
walk
wrong.
the way the snake oil salesman talks? Remember in Huckleberry Finn, the two charlatans that Huck and Jim end up hooking up with the king and the duke, and they would go to different towns and put on the ridiculous shows for money. And that's who he reminds me of, is one of those, because they would have the high speech. Oh, yon, toodles and anon. It's so funny.
It's about purpose, though, isn't it? Everybody feels like they need to have some sort of purpose. Can we go back to the first scene? One of the first things we notice are these people in these weird outfits that look kind of familiar, which Karina's going to probably talk about right now. But from our perspective, Rachel and mine, we saw that outfit in the poster that's in Vault 4 because it was a poster from back in the NCR. They found a poster from back then, and it has the NCR soldier person. It looked kind of like a Uncle Sam poster, the NCR wants you sort of situation. So it has that mask and everything. So that's how we know why they look the way they do. It gives us context to what they're doing. They may not have made it to Vault 4. Well, their brethren in this huge ass community / nation state made it to Vault 4. They didn't. They're lead farming, according to the ghoul, basically picking up casings and bullets.
My first impressions on the episode are wildly shaped by this first scene. So we enter in, we see this character in an NCR Ranger's uniform. He's a Ranger. And of course, the New Vegas theme music is playing in the background, this very thematic, but slowed down a lot from what you hear in the previous episode where she's looking at the flag and everything. It's like a more melodic version of it, but it's definitely there. I think music is a huge theme in this episode, especially being called the radio. It's more interwoven than you might think at the outset. It's not just about the radio station. He's obviously an ex-NCR Ranger. My guess, if I were to put together a headcanon for this character, escaped Shady Sands or survived it, started making a living out in the wasteland as best he could. Obviously, his son at some point decided to join up with Moldaver, who, a crazy woman in the hills, as according to his dad, clearly against his father's wishes. And now the younger son or the middle son is involved with it as well. A little miniature story to start the episode out on. And of course, the ghoul comes in and disrupts this whole thing. And I can understand why it would put you off of his character. But the whole time I'm looking at it, I'm thinking of it in terms of in the game.
The games?
You're the ghoul and you're having this interaction where this NPC is terrified of you, clearly. You don't have to do a lot to intimidate him except exist there. The man literally thinks the ghoul has killed his daughter and he's eating her. And he probably is right to fear that because people do that in the wasteland. People have these misconceptions about the ghouls being feral. And would a feral ghoul bother to cook and eat the kid? No. But they probably would kill her on sight. So he's right to be afraid of the ghoul for whatever reason. And then come to find out his kid has gotten involved in some crazy stuff with that crazy woman. This NCR uniform is just very reminiscent of the New Vegas game, and the area that they're in is clearly in and around New Vegas. You're going to see all of these things, as I mentioned, so much in the previous episodes. Like so many things are hinting at and calling back to this particular area, the Mojave Desert.
With respect to the ghoul and eating the chicken, did that not hail back to the last episode where you see Sorrel Booker in the same exact position of power, let's say, or dominance, and he's eating the chicken, spitting out the cysts? Essentially, the little ashtray that says cysts on it.
Gross.
He wasn't doing that because he doesn't have to do that. He can just eat them and have no punishment. There's no penalty. He has the cannibalism perk. No, I'm kidding. Well, maybe, probably,
he might,
actually. Yeah.
Lead belly. That's what he probably has.
Lead belly perk, right, exactly. But he's doing the same thing. He's asserting dominance. He's in control of the situation and doesn't lose his deputies. He has no deputies. He needs no deputies.
Right.
I just thought that, and that actually reinforced my disgust quotient against him. Up until this point, I was very non-judgmental because of that smuggling in of the first scene with his daughter and getting me to feel something for him. And you see him later and it's like, oh, but he had a daughter. Oh, but he was nice to his daughter. Oh, he's probably a good person. Probably. But this kind of ruined it for me a little bit too. And maybe because it's a family, that's probably why he doesn't care about doing what he needs to do. I don't know. I don't want to litigate this too much further, but I just thought the mirroring of him and Sorrel Booker from the last episode, I thought was pretty interesting.
Yeah.
And what that says about that character.
Yeah, it definitely solidifies his morally gray to morally dark character type. You know, he doesn't think twice. He killed this person in the sheriff's office without thinking twice about it. He found out he has a family. He's been writing to his brother, I'm going to go find the brother. And then he has no qualms about threatening and then killing the brother as well, just to ensure that that won't come back to haunt him later once he gets what he wants from him.
Haunt.
Yeah, ghoul. He doesn't care whether or not it's a morally right thing to do. He's just ensuring that he's going to get the information that he wants and that it's not going to cause him problems later. And it's a very cold way of looking at the solution to his problem. Whereas if Lucy were in the same position, she would obviously have a very different solution for that. Or even Maximus.
Yeah. And it's explicit in this episode. She says, give back the fusion core to Vault 4. I don't want to have to save my dad and relinquish my principles. It's funny because Cooper says this to Miss Williams later on. She's like, I've got principles. And then at the same time, everybody's sponsored. But this kind of dual, like knowing what the world is, but also, well, I got to pretend like I have principles.
Yeah.
And we see this time and time again. Lucy is not willing to go that extra mile to get what she wants. She is willing to go around a problem, just not to sacrifice her principles. And sorry, I kind of like that.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. Like,
no.
We should strive to be like Lucy, as I'll say it again. We're Maximus. We should strive to be like Lucy, and at our worst day, we're the ghoul. So I think most people somewhere fall in the middle, if we're honest, and we aspire to be as, I can't think of the right word, valiant, as morally incorruptible as Lucy is. Well, I mean, she also did throw acid in that guy's face, but
right. Exactly.
You know.
But then doesn't it go to what Chet says to Norm? We're all cowards. We live in a vault, which is commentary on every single character, really.
Yeah, I mean, most of them were born there too, though. They didn't have
they didn't have control
of choice
over that.
in it.
Yeah.
But yes, true. But now that these two people see the truth, now you have the ability to make a choice, and they're still making. Some of them are still making a choice.
Chet is still,
mostly, yeah. But also, after Norm discovers in the last episode that the terminal is shot out of Vault 32, knowing full well that he was able to see it in the episode prior, let's say, or whatever it was. What else is he supposed to do? What can he do? I can see a situation where, like, I feel like, well, if I make one more move, they'll catch me. What power do I have? I'm dealing with an enemy I know nothing about, or a situation in which I know nothing about. So I don't fault Chet for feeling the way he does mostly, even though, again, we're in the same situation. It turns on my disgust mechanism, but at the same time, I understand it. Same thing with the ghoul. Turns on my disgust mechanism, but I get it. I understand why he had to do what he had to do. I feel like that's happening all across the board, necessarily.
Chet is very comfortable living blissfully in ignorance.
He does not look happy.
No.
But he doesn't want to. He wants to deal with the problem in front of him, not the bigger issue Norm's bringing to his door.
I feel like he doesn't even want to deal with the problem in front of him, though, because he just keeps letting it happen, and he's clearly...
But it is the devil you know, isn't it, though?
Do you think he's a little...
It is right in front of you.
Do you think he's a little scared of Steph?
Well,
absolutely.
I think
fear boner on full alert.
They've been conditioned to just follow their leader blindly.
The deck is stacked.
So one of the things that struck me as I was watching this episode again is the Vault Dwellers are like hobbits. They're very content to stay in their little hobbit holes, but every once in a while you have one that has curiosity and wants to go out and see the wider world, which in this case is Lucy. And you can say that Norm is a coward, but he's actually not. He thinks he's a coward, but he doesn't see that he's doing things that are not cowardly at all.
I do have a question that sort of goes with that, just for y'all. Who do you feel like is the most likely the one who poisoned the Raiders?
Betty.
Steph.
Betty, for sure.
Doesn't feel like it was Norm. Yeah.
No.
I feel like it was probably Betty. And then she's going to sit there and gaslight Norm into saying, like, words have power, as if he's the one who convinced somebody else to do it when
this is going to come back to haunt you.
and they were hauling away the other girl.
Yeah,
I don't know if we
the girl
caught her
who was
name.
like, I don't know, the one who was like in charge
Yeah.
of monitoring them, I guess. Yeah.
So they're gonna blame her. Betty's gonna act like
has a
thinks
name.
it was Norm, but I just said
It's
I
Jello
couldn't
Cake
remember.
Girl because she
It's
took the Jello
Veronica.
Cake.
Get it right.
Is it Veronica?
It is
Oh.
actually. So,
Is it?
in
Oh,
the
yeah, no,
X-ray for Amazon Prime.
All my money is on
Poor
Betty.
Veronica. I felt
I
so
know.
bad for her in
I
that
know,
moment.
poor Veronica. But no, I'm betting
Well,
on
let
Betty.
me quote her specifically. She says, "What did I tell you, Norman?" This is going to what you're saying, Karina.
Yeah.
What did I tell you, Norman? Words have meaning. And then Woody, this is what interesting.
Yeah.
You'd think Norm would chime in or say something else, but no, Woody cuts in. He goes, "People are going to be upset about this." I'm paraphrasing.
Yeah.
Betty goes, "People like to have something to fuss about," which is she's like telling you what is going to happen.
Yeah.
Before it happens. That is terrifying. It's when you feel like you can give, it's like the villain twirling their mustache going, I'm going to tell you what's happening right now. And there's nothing you can do to stop it.
Well,
so
also
I'm just going to do it.
Let no beats pass between walking out of that cell and immediately initiating the vault transfer so everybody can be upset about that instead of
boop, boop, boop.
Yeah, like, and now you're in 32 and everybody's upset about it.
Just for that, Woody.
Yeah. Go to 32.
But so I'm loving this. At first, though, to Sharon D's point, and I've said similar things because I've come around to the idea that they're bred a certain way. Let's say 33 is bred a certain way. So there's a couple things. You're starting to see Woody come online. He just says OF, which is not him, really. OF. And then he goes, I'm not going. Sorry. He comes back. Yeah. Right. So he's coming online. Something's happening here. Something's going on here. Chet is even expressing, I don't want to go with the flow. I definitely don't want to go mystery hunting with you, Norm, but I don't like what's happening here. I don't want to be a dad. I still love Lucy, probably my cousin. I don't like this. I don't like any of this. He's not happy about leaving. But even, I'll say this much, because we loved Davy in the 2 episodes prior. Was it the Ghouls or was it the Past? One or the other one. We were constantly laughing at his brutal apologetic nature, where he was just telling Reg, I'm not voting for you. I'm actually voting for Betty. He goes like this. He gets the message. And he goes, yes, go to Vault 32. Yes, he's ironing his vault suit, which is also funny, by the way, if you're not paying attention. Ironing a vault suit, really? Anyway, so he goes, yes. But then if you actually kind of pay attention to right before they're going into Vault 32, he's trepidatious. Davy himself is looking beyond. He's like, I don't know if I like this. All of them are kind of going where at first they were like, some of them were actually looking forward to it. One of the guys I think it was Reg, maybe on the speaker going, remember, wherever you end up is where you are, something to that effect.
Where you belong, yeah.
Yeah, remember, where you end up is where you belong. But then at the end of the episode, do you feel them coming online in a weird way? Do you feel like they're getting trepidatious?
Yeah, some trepidation about doing it. I mean, they're literally walking into the darkness. How symbolic is that? Like, now they've got Stephanie, who's a little different. You know what I mean? Like, she's a little intense. She's now their interim overseer. And it's like they're having to leave behind everything they kind of know. It's still a vault and it's still going to look and feel exactly the same way in a way. But like everything is going to be different also at the same time. I can understand being a little bit nervous about that.
For people who do the same thing every day.
Yes.
Their entire lives.
In the same place.
Yep. See the same faces. Yep.
You know, it would be kind of like Lewis and Clark when they went into the interior of a country that no white man had ever been to. And they had no idea what to expect. A little bit smaller scale, but kind of the same thing. Even though they kind of know what to expect, they have a sketchy idea. It's going to be totally different than what they've experienced before.
Well, maybe even more to the point, even though these vaults are probably, this is to your point, Karina, they're kind of designed the same.
Yeah,
and this cluster certainly at least 32 and 33.
Yeah.
They're ostensibly the same, but it's just not the same, is it?
Yeah, it's the same, but not. Yeah, it's a little different.
Even if it's exactly the same.
It's not the same.
Aside from the cryolator. Probably, maybe.
Or
whatever
a syringer.
That is.
I don't know what that was. Yeah.
I did show a picture of that in the blog. And so we'll let the audience figure that one out. But even if somebody made an exact copy replica of your house from when you were a kid, I don't know how many of you moved a lot. I moved a little. It's just not the same. Like if you had the opportunity, you're a different person. Maybe that's the answer. You're a different person now. And that's the key.
Maybe they're afraid of becoming different people by doing this big move because they're very comfortable with how they are right now.
Yeah. Well, after all the changes too. The Raiders and all these changes, right?
Yeah.
Overseer elections immediately after for some reason. We commented on that last time. Instead of grieving.
Priorities. Yeah.
So, yeah, well, let's take a break, put a pin in it. Let's just say all the things Francisco. This is like the Francisco show, by the way. So I'm just gonna say what Francisco.
Heather's here now.
What the
Yay.
what? Heather Fear Boner. Hi guys.
Yes.
Yeah, we gotten that out of the way. It's the Francisco show now. It's fine. Thank you for coming, Heather. Moldaver isn't bananas. She's a orange trying to squeeze as many truths as possible about companies and in the world itself. Agree-ish. Thaddeus. How does that dude end up in the Brotherhood of Steel? Easy. He's better than Maximus at his job. Boom, boom, boom. Until now. Which we should go to that at some point. But I saw the ghoul killing that kid like I saw Negan killing Brandon in the comics. Not the same. Both did something that had consequences and one person had to stop it. I don't condone killing kids, but ghoul killing this kid was necessary. I don't, for him, yes. For the world, I don't know. Again, I'm not disagreeing with you, really. I understood the Anon reference. I remember the snake oil salesman. Is there a possibility they found those NCR suits and they're just using it to collect metals like farmers? I don't think they're ex-soldiers, just a thought. However, I know that that's wrong. Do you want to know why? Because he says to Adam, you've probably put some lead in me as well. I probably still have some lead in me.
Yeah.
Which,
Some of your
does
lead
that
in me.
mean he's from the NCR? I don't know, but leads are all around his house and area, and they are near Shady Sands-ish.
Yeah.
So
In the area.
stands to reason that maybe NCR was trying to protect themselves from people like him, reasonably so.
Yeah.
Killing kids like that, just like
Wow, he really triggered
punishing
you.
Sharondy for watching ahead. I'm punishing the ghoul for being a thing in the wasteland. Essentially,
Being exactly as he is.
he is supposed to be. I'm terrible. Oh, I was just making a comparison. She turned her thing off. Oh, she muted.
Just like I'm out.
I'm not comparing you to the ghoul. I'm just saying I'm a terrible person. That's all I'm saying.
Comparing
Judgy
me to
today.
the ghoul would not be a problem.
I don't think, no, I mean, you love animals, but
Yeah,
that's about it.
that's what I'm saying. What I'm saying, I don't mind being compared to the ghoul.
There's a lot of other things, Sharon D. There's
we've
so
got-
many other things you are not.
Many other things.
Francisco says vault dwellers are just ants with radiation suits. I feel like that's changing, though. Will it proceed to the next episode? I don't know. What do you guys have to say about the vault dwellers going online, though? I'm specifically looking at Rachel because sound effects. Do you starting to feel them warming up to starting to take interest in what's happening to them?
Only Norm.
You don't think like Woody is coming online and even Davey a little bit?
No, I don't think that
No.
really.
Chet?
No, I think Chet's just like, this is too much, man. Chet's ready to just explode. He
Chet's
can't
all of us.
handle
Yeah,
anything.
yeah.
Chet can't
Yeah.
handle
Passive-aggressive.
anything right now. He is so overwhelmed. He's frozen.
Is he from the Midwest?
He could
But
be.
he's also
He really could be.
he's also following the fact that they're all just followers because
Mhm.
he doesn't fight Stephanie, just basically turning him into her dead husband. There's no discussion. She just does it, and now he's the dad of this baby, and he's taking care of it. And even if he did, he's like, I'm sticking my head in the sand. I don't even care. I have too much other stuff going on. We've always been like this. I have too much stuff.
I do have a fun fact, though, for you that I learned during our time at the camp. I was lucky enough to have a few words with Teo Rappolson, who played Sebastian Milton on The Walking Dead the last season. And he had said, Dave Register, who plays Chet on the show, yeah, he's a buddy of mine. No, he said he was really happy for him. It's like they went to school together. They know each other through the scene. It was kind of cool to see.
Cool.
It's like if any one of you got something, I would be like, that's my girl. Because you're all girls. There's no guys
Teo
here.
could
Sorry,
be a vault
Francisco.
dweller. That would be fun.
I would want more for him. He's the baby.
Oh, gosh.
They zoom in on the face and he's like, go, go, gaga. Right? It'd be the best. I love Teo. He's so funny. There's an F word in there, actually, kind of. No? Okay. Well, I went too far. Let's dial it back.
You said, like, put Teo's face on the baby. I was thinking, fast forward, and he's the baby all grown up.
Yeah, you put the parents, you put Stephanie
But
and
no,
Chet
David's like, no, put his face on the little baby. And it's like, adult Teo on a little baby. So weird.
Oh my
I
God.
love that.
You took it weird.
You know what, Teo? I'm going to send this to you. Do it, and then we'll show
He'll
it
never
in the
see it.
episode. He'll do it. He'll do it.
He'll never see it.
I promise you he'll do it. No, I'm going to send this
He'll never see it.
I've got something for you, Teo Rappolson. Boy, the role of a lifetime that you're not getting paid for.
Don't
Awful.
sign off on that.
It's funny, like the more we talk about this episode, even though the through line isn't necessarily the radio, there is a lot of connective tissue to what's happening to the people in this episode. What everybody is all at once, varying degrees of cowardice. And it does bring back what I said before about Cooper Howard. It's C. Howard. And if you throw out the H, it's Coward. And I'm feeling that is his existence as of now is him making up for that. But I wanted to bring up something else that just popped in my head. Okay, you're looking at the ghoul. He's putting on a show. He's being himself, threatening in the beginning of the episode, blah, blah, blah. With his teeth. And you have to remember, he is an actor. This is the role of an after a lifetime. So when he sees the dog, did you not notice that he is himself? He drops the heavy, thick cowboy accent. And he says something to the effect of, to the dog, CX404, let's go find your daddy. But he says it as Cooper Howard. All of a sudden, that heavy, he doesn't go, let's go find your daddy with his teeth. He doesn't do that. He's sincere. It's the first time I've ever seen him as the ghoul as sincere. Did you notice that, first of all? You dog people.
No, not for me.
Now that you mention it, yes, that is very clear. He definitely softens up a lot, even when he's reminiscing later and he's like, sorry, but you ain't him. He's Cooper.
But it's
he's
not as heavy.
The ghoul.
Exactly.
Yeah.
See, that's what dogs do for you. Everybody should have a dog.
Hey, proof positive, the notes you left on that episode, which was 2? Yes, that's right. The target. You had said he was soft on the dog. He was soft on CX404. And he didn't want to be alone.
Thinking about what drives him to dig that bug out of the trash so that he can spy on her. He's like, no dogs in the vault. Like, it's really bothering him that he can't bring the dog.
Well, you know what? If somebody told me that I couldn't take my dog, and I would just have to leave my dog there to die alone, no, that's not happening ever.
Exactly. I'm sure that's how he's feeling too. So like, that's what motivates him. It's like playing in his head. Like, who made that choice?
Who decided that?
Know?
Because I'm going to go kick their butt.
Yeah.
I'm going to say something, and I kind of want to see what Rachel's reaction, because I know what some of you guys would say, but I want to know what Rachel thinks about this, because I feel like I'd be the kind of friend who would, I hate this, I hate myself, who would, upon hearing that, drag you to the vault and just be, no, I don't care. Your dog is one thing, but you're my friend. I'm going to trick you. I'm going to do violence so that you become safe. And I just want to know what, Rachel, you think about that horrible prospect.
Chances are you're not making it to that vault either.
Thank you.
Probably,
Exactly.
but as long as you're safe, I'm happy for the few seconds that I'm alive.
No, what I'm saying is neither one of us are making it. And if you try to drag me there, you're losing a hand.
Yep.
Fair. But if I make it, it's worth it. I save you people.
No, because
this is the hero of your own
like,
story talking.
I would like smuggle my dog in like a duffel bag or something. Or like
Otto's small enough I could just stick him under my shirt.
Yeah.
But what if they have a dog detector and it instantly vaporizes the dog upon entry?
What?
Oh my gosh.
Listen, hypothetical scenarios.
Basically, Barb is the enclave
leans in
being like, I'm going to put your dog in a freaking incinerator. Is basically what she's saying.
Wilsig style.
So, no thank you. You're not going to put my dog in an incinerator ever. I mean,
so what you're saying is
I'm
what I should be doing is helping you smuggle the dog.
Yeah.
So I know a lot of you all remember Hurricane Katrina.
Yeah.
The reason so many people stayed behind was because they weren't allowed to take their pets on rescue boats and stuff like that. People had to leave their pets behind. And people chose to stay behind with their pets and risk it rather than leave their pets home alone to die. And that would be me. My dog would not stay behind while I got away.
Thankfully, I only have 2 cats right now, and they would be much easier to smuggle in.
I think about this a lot, actually, Dave. You're a guy. You don't have maternal instincts.
That's science.
It's true. It's science. It's true.
I mean, I've never had kids, but I still have that instinct, the need to mother, which is where a dog comes in for me. So basically, when you say leave my dog behind, you're telling me to leave my child behind. Because this is the only kid I'm ever going to have.
I talk a big game, but I'd probably be the same.
I mean, I'm not just explaining that to you. I'm explaining that to anybody who says leave your dog out. You're telling me to leave my child behind to get incinerated. That's not going to happen.
See, I don't get to play favorites. I mean, I do get to play favorites. If it means you surviving 100% versus 50, I mean, I'll probably do violence to make sure you're safe.
Well, what you should do is be like, let me help you sneak the dog in.
No, I'm not risking that. I say this, but that's not happening. Again, I'll make that very clear. I talk a big game. It's the feeling is there. See, like, was a Louis C.K. makes a joke about this. He's first class, and he thinks about giving his seat up to the veteran or the soldier who's en route in the commercial flight. And just the thought alone makes him feel really nice inside. I could do it, but the thought makes me feel good inside. I already got the satisfaction of thinking I'm a good guy.
They say it's the thought that counts, right?
Maybe it's the only thing that counts. I love the bit too. Every single time. Oh, so Francisco says the 3 fans of Tommy will surely miss him. Francisco's mean. I'm judging him now too. Everybody's getting judged by me. Heather says, preach charity. I have to pack. I can't wait to see some of your smiling faces this weekend, which just for us. Heather's going to be in New York City. And actually sooner rather than later.
Heather's going to New York?
Exactly.
Yay!
Bridget's going to be here in a couple days. We're going to be doing, and this episode's not going to be out for a little while, but we might as well say it because this is June 5th right now. For those who don't know when these episodes come out and when we record them, we're going to be doing press, Bridget and I, at Brooklyn Comic Con, and then we're going to be heading to the early season 2 premiere of The Walking Dead Daryl Dixon, The Book of Carol, some other tagline. Why is this show episode title so long.com. So that's going to be on Saturday night, June 8th. But we still don't have a date for the actual publicly airing premiere for The Walking Dead Daryl Dixon Book of Carol, Shamalama Ding Dong. Why is this title so long? We don't have it.
I bet we'll have it at the premiere.
That would be something. Which Karina's going to be there too. I almost forgot to tell you people.
Yes. Just because I want to. I don't do press or anything.
Yeah. Oh, boy. Well, she's going to get her Vault-Tec t-shirt, so that's another reason to be happy.
Yay! I don't
even have to commit violence upon her.
What?
I'm excited for it.
I don't know.
Was that
committing
an
all this imaginary violence on people.
He's really salty about this.
It makes me feel good about myself in a bad way.
Oh my gosh.
You're the ghoul.
So
just admit it. Just accept it.
I play the ghoul in a game, but in real life, I'm hopefully, like on a best case scenario, I'm Norm. Best case. I'm not even Maximus.
I'm
even
Norm.
Maximus. I'm Norm.
I'm Norm on a good day. Good day. I'm Chet on every day.
I was going to say, I guess I'm Chet.
Oh gosh.
See, Squawking Dead knows what it is.
I'm Stephanie.
We know what we are.
Don't kid yourself.
That is a high bar to clear.
I want to be Stephanie, but I'm actually probably the wasteland podiatrist.
The snake oil podiatrist.
The snake oil guy.
You say that it's just because he was using his feet to use the shotgun, which, kudos, knows how to get it done. But
because he fixes feet.
Well, yeah, I guess
That's
so.
what a podiatrist does.
I think he kind of fixes everything, technically. But why the feet
he fixed the foot.
And he said feet in the second episode.
He did fix everything, I guess, because then we see Bo heal his neck heal, or not Bo.
Bo from Superstore. Thaddeus from
Why am I
Fallout.
not dead?
Johnny Pemberton.
I was calling him Bo while I was watching the episode too.
Oh no!
But his neck, why aren't I dead? Oh my god, I love that scene so much.
My first thought upon seeing the trap arrow go through his neck.
Oh my gosh, the giant mouse trap area. I loved it.
Comical, yeah.
Oh, the bear trap, basically.
Yeah.
There was a mouse trap
oversized.
Was there a mouse trap? Oh my god.
It looked
gigantic. There's a lot of
it's a gigantic mouse. Oh, it's a rad mouse.
Well, probably for catching.
It's a person.
There was a person in it.
Yeah.
But the first thought I thought of when I saw the arrow go through the neck was a show called Ghosts, which is an adaptation from a British television show, but going back to the American version of the show. I think it's on Paramount Plus, if I'm not mistaken. Great show. I highly recommend it. Just watch it. You'll know what I mean immediately when you see it. But beyond that, it would make sense that Johnny Pemberton got an arrow through the neck. Like back in the 80s when prop comics would wear the arrow on their head to get shot through the head. Ooh, I'm a prop comic.
Steve Martin.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Bring that nugget back.
I was a little distracted during this whole scene, and I think I missed something. Who shot him?
He triggered a trap.
Oh,
it was a booby trap. Yeah.
Because I asked Silas, and he's like, I don't know. And then I got up and I walked away and I came back and he was gone.
Through his neck.
He was gone. And I'm like, what? Did he just run away? And so I was
like,
he just ran away.
Yeah, he ran away.
He goes, he just ran away.
Yeah,
I'm like,
obviously.
Okay.
He's not on the screen, idiot. When did he turn
did
so
somebody
mean?
chase him? He's 14.
Oh, right. It's true.
Yeah.
True. He got mean at 5.
No.
It was all sweet 1 second, then he turned mean.
No, he's mostly kind.
I love
I'm also
Fred
kidding.
Armisen.
DJ Carl.
The whole conversation he has with Thaddeus about the violin
The
music,
mids.
the fiddle music, the
The
mid.
mids.
Oh my gosh, it was so funny.
That radio sounded like it was being played through a tin can. It sounded horrible.
Here's what it sounded like. It's just telling you right now, this is not going to make sense to most of you. But if Sharon, you kind of brought this up, I think during our Fallout coverage, back in the day when we were on dial-up, it took us half a day to download a 4 megabyte MP3 file, right?
Yeah.
But say you compress that MP3 file, you wanted to get it fast. You wanted to get a clip of that MP3 file. You wanted a lo-fi version of that. It sounded exactly like that. You rip the music from Fallout and then compress it to such a degree that it sounds like the music is underwater.
Yeah, that's pretty
what
much
highly compressed MP3 files sound like. That's what was the most funny about what he said. It was like, this is like the original recordings. And even I felt like Johnny Pemberton, there must have been some ad-libbing going on because he's thinking to himself, how do I tell him that he's no? That sounds like that is not the original recording.
Those mids are really on it. In it. Yeah, in it.
In it. Yeah, in it.
In it.
Oh my God.
In it.
Since we're on the topic of the radio station, Fiddle Week, as he's calling it, that's literally Minuteman Radio from Fallout 4. So if you listen to that, you can hear some great fiddle music, and also it'll tell you when a settlement needs help. And you're like, oh, Grey Gardens is requesting assistance to anyone in the area. And then fiddle music.
That's your cue. You've got a new quest.
Yeah.
Fiddle music.
And fiddle music. And it's not my favorite one to listen to because the fiddle music, it wears on you after a while. So I can understand why he had to barricade himself because people would want that to stop.
Is it because the quality is that bad? Or
I think it's just the music itself that people, because he says there's a sign that says no requests. It's like, we're listening to fiddle music. That's what we're doing.
Postcard will do.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I want to say though, when the end credits come up and then then you actually get the original quality. The woman is named MacArthur. Heather MacArthur is the actual fiddle player. They brought her back to do the music for this.
Yes.
And the end credits just features her in the fiddle. And I think it's wonderful. It's
I really enjoyed that. Yeah.
And so I'm suddenly Fred Armisen, AKA DJ Carl, appreciating the mids, which I'm actually listening for the mids because I engineer sound. It's my thing. And it's just like, oh, this is so beautiful.
The radio is a huge part, at least of my playthrough of Fallout. Now, not everybody likes to listen to the radio the whole time, but I do. I love to listen to the radio.
Just not that station.
Maybe not that station, but yeah, all the other ones, it's great. It's a huge part of playing Fallout. So the fact that they paid homage to that, where he's listening to this radio station while he's walking through the wasteland, Thaddeus, that's directly from your playthrough.
I do have a question, though. Do you think he was being genuine when he said he was really enjoying the fiddle music?
I think he wants to be liked everywhere he goes. So that's why he's like just agreeing with the guy so that he can have a positive interaction with someone, regardless of whether it's genuine or not. Maybe he just genuinely wants to get along with people. That's the genuine part. I don't know.
Him to do he's doing him a favor.
I got the feeling in the last episode that Maximus had never been exposed to music the way he was reacting to the record player.
Yeah.
So it would be my thought that perhaps Thaddeus has never had exposure to music. So, I guess it would depend on how you feel about fiddle music. Maybe he's really enjoying it because he's never heard it before and it's novel. Or maybe he's like, what is this that I'm listening to?
Wow.
And maybe it's just so fascinating to him. But is that all of us, maybe, in a way?
Maybe.
When you grew up, some of the first music listened to, it's probably your parents' radio in the car or whatever it was. That first exposure to listen, I hated the Arabic music that my mom would play because my mom is a Syrian. But we'd play all the hits from back in Syria in the Middle East region. And I hated it. But then now as an adult, I'm like, I think about it fondly. I'm thinking to myself, what kid had that experience?
So my grandmother listened to Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, the music that we're listening to in this show, like the Ink Spots and stuff. Bing Crosby. And I was like, oh my God, this music. Ugh. And now I'm like playing it in my car when I'm driving down the street. I'm like, let's play the Fallout playlist.
Some slaps.
Isn't that slaps? Isn't that fascinating though? Isn't that fascinating? How many of you have that experience though? Listening to your parents' music and going, ugh, and then suddenly having a different take on it later on. Is that all of us?
I don't know. I think I went through a phase of not liking my parents' music and then came back around, but it came much later. In the early 2000s, I got very into scream music, like angry, screamy. Yeah. It still sort of has a place somewhat in the playlist, but now I definitely appreciate the stuff that they were listening to, which was like Pink Floyd and the Beatles, Bowie, that kind of stuff. I can now definitely appreciate and choose to listen to on my own. So I think my phase of hating their music came when I was a teenager because I wanted to be different and hate everything. So,
all teenagers want to do that, though.
Yeah, exactly.
But did you do it to be different? See, I'm having an issue with this only because of my experience and maybe because that colors everything. But I get made fun of for not knowing stuff on the radio as a kid because of that experience. So I rejected all that stuff my parents played in the car just to be like everybody else. I didn't want to get Lebanese sandwiches packed in my lunch and za'atar and... I went to private school and I was still different from those kids, the Jewish kids, because they were Ashkenazi Jews from Eastern Europe. They were mostly American. I'd still get the single, like on a good day, I get a single patty cheese slice sandwich. That was like my good American day. Yeah. And then still I'd bring in a Lebanon olive sandwich. And I had this one kid on my bus come to me up at lunch, take my juice box and spray it in my mom's sandwich, which made me feel a lot better about my mom's sandwich. Now I'm defending my mom's sandwich all of a sudden for some reason. You felt like you were rejecting something to be different, but at the same time, you're kind of not doing that as much as trying to fit in some senses, like when you were really younger.
So I was definitely trying to fit in with my crowd, obviously, in high school, which was the crowd of misfits, the people who don't fit in. I was semi-goth, semi-emo, like alternative style kind of stuff. This is the early 2000s, okay? So 1999 to 2003.
I'm right there with you.
Yeah, so that was my
I'd already graduated.
thing, and I was trying to fit in with a group of people who already didn't fit in with the rest of the people that we went to school with. We went to a very preppy school, and so we were like the scary kids, and I wanted to be that scary kid because, like, if you're not going to accept me, then be afraid of me. And then also I was trying to be different than my mom because we are so similar when I was a kid. But now I'm almost 40. I'm like, I literally am her. It's fine.
Charity's nodding her head.
Came back around.
Exactly like my mom.
There had to have been a moment. I mean, I know there was a period of time where my mom and I didn't get along. Like I said, she could tell you the details.
You don't have to go further than saying, was there ever a FU mom?
Oh, hell no.
Really? Okay.
Oh.
Not even like a slip of the tongue under your breath, anything like that?
No,
Way
never.
better than me, I guess.
Never.
Meanwhile,
No. Oh my gosh.
I hate to admit that kind of thing, but yeah, I didn't say that to her, but like,
I'm gonna out everybody.
We were having, so we were having a fight. It was over nothing in particular. We were in a fitting room. I was arguing with her because she was making me try on stuff I didn't want to try on. And like, being a moody teenager and whatever, I got really angry with her and I like raised my hand like I was going to smack her. And like, I didn't do it, but like she was like, okay, we're done. And like, I didn't let me honestly say it. I did not actually hit her, but I thought about it. I wanted to. I was really mad. And I was like 14 when this happened. So yeah, that's probably one of the worst things I feel the worst about. Like,
oh my goodness.
And I wish it hadn't, but
I'm not ready for you to be on the limb for this one because I'm a little older than all of you. Not Charity, obviously, but we grew up in a time. It was a different time. Everybody was a different time. Corporal punishment sort of situation going on where most often happens in, let's say, Latin American households. The same thing happened in mine, which is the chancla, which we call the shahata, which there's a sort of similarity. It's both a wooden slipper.
Oh, I had a whole full wooden paddle.
Well, see, it's that Midwestern thing. I'm just kidding. Anyway, but you get it. Okay, fine. But see, you get a sense of some learned behavior. And because you're growing up and now you're a teenager, you're almost a young adult. I did push and shove my mom around at certain points because I thought she was being unfair. Now, I won't get into specifics and I will add a tag to all of this. And that is, if I had to list the heroes in my life, it'd be my mom top. My mom is the biggest. She's the baddest ass human that lives on this planet, in my experience and point of view. Then Fred Rogers. Well, okay, no, then my dad, because he was an actual soldier, intelligence, whatever. Fine. Then Fred Rogers.
I guess.
Oh my gosh.
So all this to say, it does come back around. I do feel like, God forgive me for all the stuff that I've done, but you do come around. It started out with music on the radio, rejecting your parents, and then realizing that you had absorbed it all along and you appreciated it all. You just needed to come around to it, just like you came around to your parents. Yeah. Just like in this episode, you can't unsee something. Norm, obviously, whether it's because he's a half Volt 31er and he's a Volt 33 and he's got a little this and that, he's got both sides. There's something magical about seeing a go with the flow person mixed with someone with curiosity from the before times that wasn't necessarily bred to be docile. Probably, we don't know for sure. So he's obvious. But I do have some high hopes for Chet.
Really?
Just like Woody coming around and even Davey having that reaction, seeing the darkness in Vault 32, comes like, oh, he's tilting. He's like, what is up ahead? I was in here before when they just painted it, but something feels different. I do have some feelings about Chet. I feel like he'll show up in the last episode. I'm looking to the side so I don't look at Karina right now purposefully, but I feel like something is there. I feel like you can't unring a bell. You like how I brought it back around with the
like almost coming to blows. Yeah, like
we linked it back to the episode somehow in a loose way.
If Chet is going to make a move, it's going to be in the next season. I don't see him. I don't see him taking any big swings right now.
I think he's a little too afraid to actually step out and even get just what he wants. You know, the bare minimum of what he wants, which is to not be trapped in this weird relationship that he has with Stephanie.
I didn't ask for a baby.
No, he didn't ask to be the new Bert, and that's what he is now, and he's just going along with it. Again, clearly you can tell he doesn't want this, but he's just letting it happen. So, and I think he has to make the step to say, this is not what I want, before he can go off on any big adventure outside of the vault.
He has to almost threaten violence on Stephanie.
Yeah, I think it's
and
possible.
lose, because Stephanie's awful. She's awful from our standpoint now that we know where she's
not awful. She's intense. She's intense. The word I keep coming back to. She's intense.
She has some very nefarious facial features, though. I was on her side at first, but the more we get to know Stephanie, I'm like, girl,
she has
I don't
sort of
your side either.
Yeah,
like her little villainous kind of eyebrow action. I can't even recreate it. When they named her interim overseer, she looked a little sinister, and maybe it was the eye patch, but she looked a little sinister about it.
Interim overseer of Vault 32.
She had a very sinister smile on her face.
But otherwise, would we?
And she knew too.
Oh,
she knew it was coming.
Yeah. Well, I feel like, why spend all that time for something we've said over and over again every episode? But there is something about framing, and maybe this might go back to the ghoul. Maybe there's something that we don't know about that scene, or why the ghoul is the way he is. I'm sure there is, and I'll eat my words in the next episode. This episode, I felt a certain way. And this is a mark of a good show. If they can get you to feel a certain way, drag you almost kicking and screaming into this arena of feeling two simultaneous things about several characters in this episode, but not just the ghoul. The ghoul was just more of a reactive thing. But had Norm not found out anything about Vault 31 and the residents of 31 being the overseers of 33 and all that stuff, we wouldn't have looked at Stephanie any other way. We'd say, oh, she's quirky. She looks like a character from Fallout, but we know too much. The glass is broken. So framing is everything. So maybe the way I feel about Cooper Howard today is going to be completely different once the stage is set and framed in the next episode. Because it's like you guys said, I don't know how Cooper Howard isn't the protagonist of this story. I'm looking this way, so I don't see faces. Let's take a break. Let's read what the Francisco show. I'll pop in if you guys cover the boys. Thank you, because we will probably, definitely, maybe, question mark? Yeah. He wanted to catch the haters with those traps. Maybe Elon Musk. Uh-oh. We were talking about this before we got on, right? The rap party, Elon Musk.
Was it before? I think it was right when we first started recording at the very beginning, yeah.
He'll invent cold fusion. Everybody will still hate him. DJ Carl's good, but he's no 3 Dog.
Nope.
Right? There we go.
3 Dog's the best.
Fred Elmerson's great, but I want Tazon Day. We need Tazon Day on the show. That's it. That's that. Okay. Because it would complete the Fallout circle. Okay. Just the ridiculousness would be up here. Okay.
So 3 Dog to show up on here.
Yeah, exactly. Still a fantastic cameo. Was not expecting to see Fred Armisen in Fallout. Have fun storming the castle is what I compared it to from The Princess Bride. Just open his little peephole. What do you want? Anyway, sorry.
To
Okay, if your mom says-
blave, which we all know means to bluff.
That's Scottish, right? Yeah.
Liar! Sorry, I know this whole movie by heart. Shall I keep going? Because I can do like every line from it.
That wasn't Gil. That was what's her name from all these other shows
was,
now? Not Gilda
Carol
Radner.
Kane.
It was Carol Kane. That's right.
Carol Kane.
Okay.
I love Carol Kane.
If your mom says all metal bands you hear is Metallica, you have a relative telling you to look like Jesus with the long hair, you won't like her music taste. That's what I learned from being the only person who listens to that genre in my family. He still has long hair, doesn't he? Speaking of experience, I never got along with women named Stephanie. Same, actually.
Is this the first time we heard the ghoul refer to the dog as dog meat?
He's the first one who ever calls the dog meat.
Yeah.
Which is a nice
That was
callback,
cute.
obviously, to the games, clearly.
Our circle is complete.
Yes.
That was cute.
I wanted to touch on the footnote because it heals, but it doesn't heal right. But I don't think that Thaddeus cares because he's like,
Right.
at least it's not falling off.
His
It's just
toe-
great. He's looking at his
toe all
toe
twisted
looking
out
sideways.
to the side. It was great.
Yeah. It's great.
I feel like
So-
how Karina has described this before, this is kind of how I pictured it in the game.
This is exactly what I was going to mention. Yeah.
Okay.
So in the very first episode, y'all were asking, or I was explaining, stim packs and
We
how they
never
work
asked. You
in the
just started
game.
explaining. It's
I
weird.
did. I just started explaining stuff. I don't know
That's
why.
how you have to do stuff around here.
If you fall off of a ledge and you cripple your legs, the stim pack can fix it. And this is very much what I envision the stim pack doing. Now, I do have a note about when they're like, I think you're a ghoul. I don't think he's a ghoul.
Oh.
I think something else happened. I think that the snake oil salesman gave him the FEV, or the forced evolutionary virus. I think that's what was in there, which is what turns you into a super mutant.
Eventually.
Eventually. So
planting
it forces
seeds.
you. I think he's going to turn into a super mutant. And the reason why I say that, very early on, second episode ever in the Enclave, there was a gurney and an arm falling out of the covered body, and it was green. And I said, I think that's a super mutant. So it's just a little hint. Also, we know that ghouls are created by radiation exposure.
Right.
I do not think that he dosed him with a huge amount of radiation to make him heal. I think he gave him that virus because super mutants are also immune to radiation. And he's like, oh, Shady Sands, that place is horribly irradiated. And he's like, well, you don't have to worry about that anymore, do
Buddy
you?
boy.
Yeah.
He was getting the F out right away. By the way.
He's like, okay, bye. Like, I don't want to hear about it.
You might out the
'cause
window.
Maybe he doesn't know how long it's going to take for him to transform into a super mutant. And super mutants sometimes are kind of crazy. So he may end up losing his mind at some point. He may not. Some of them aren't crazy, but
Do you know how long that transformation could take?
I have no idea.
As
no
Rachel,
clue.
for some reason, looks at her watch, which is, I don't got
6
time for
minutes,
this.
or-
She's timing it.
6 minutes.
Because clock's ticking. And that's my boy.
It keeps going off, so I'm looking.
And Francisco's reaction, something he hadn't thought about before. He says, oh God, Thaddeus is a super mutant, question mark. I cannot imagine that
Maybe.
laughing my butt off.
It could be really funny too, because he's kind of a small guy, right? And super mutants are gigantic, so that could be kind of funny. There is one character who retains his sort of personality through becoming a super mutant. You don't ever see him before that, but you have to go find him in the glowing sea, which is in a radiated area, even
I
more
imagine so.
than the normal. Yeah, it's called the glowing sea. It's the worst place in the world in Fallout 4.
Worse than
but yeah, you have to
Shady
go-
Sounds
Sands.
beautiful.
Even worse. Yeah, it's basically the closest to one of the original nuke locations. So you have to go out there and find him hiding in the glowing sea because you can't, like, hardly anybody can survive it. But a super mutant can because they're immune to radiation. He's a scientist, basically. And I forget why he turned into a super mutant. I don't know if it was on purpose. I think it was on accident. So he ran away because he didn't want to get persecuted. But yeah, he's still very, very intelligent. And he's just like frustrated because he's like, these giant hands can't do the things I need them to do, like
That's
intricate
sad.
stuff. Yeah, he's like mad about it. He's like, it has other benefits because I don't, have to worry about the radiation. But, some other downsides is I got fat fingers now.
Aww.
So this presents an interesting opportunity, doesn't it? Because kind of like the way we were seeing the ghouls in this episode, they just look different. They happen to last a little longer. They have to scrounge a little harder for serum. Cooper Howard's the worst, but the others it just feels like we're just judging based on looks, based on mythology. I mean, they may go feral at some point, but not today. If they start saying their name, run away. But
yeah, if they can't remember anything but their name, then probably.
Then that's the tell. And that's not so bad. You just get GTFO and you're all good.
Just carry a chicken around with y'all.
Exactly. Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe.
Go for the chicken first.
Stand a chicken.
Because that might not even be a thing. But we'll see. Some farm variety discrimination. So what if the same thing is true about Thaddeus? Let's say he turns into a super mutant or like a mutant. Maybe it doesn't have to be super.
Yeah.
What's the big deal? So that's, first of all, a tremendous opportunity for Johnny Pemberton. Because he's been playing his role pretty straight. Funny, but straight. As opposed to over the top as we're accustomed to seeing him. So this could be like a way to stretch his acting muscles too. Maybe funny at first, but then all of a sudden he gets real serious.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, say he shows up in second season just out of nowhere and it's a full-on super mutant and we're worried something's going to happen. Like maybe he's up against Maximus and he's like, oh no, it's super mutant. And turns out this is Buddy Thaddeus. He's totally fine.
Hey, Maximus,
like,
hey.
Yeah. Same voice and everything.
It was same voice. No deeper voice.
Green super mutant.
This big green and
Thaddeus,
and mean, but not mean.
Green and not as mean.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This actually brings us to a whole other topic of conversation that we hadn't touched on at all, which is Lucy's exile from Vault 4. Okay?
Yeah.
Turns out.
Funny. That was so
oh my gosh. Yeah.
I'm a little surprised at myself because sometimes when I say something, it just comes out of my face mouth. I don't really think anything of it. I couldn't help but seeing Karina's face when I said, you guys are looking at what's happening at Vault 4 and thinking, this is insane. This is crazy. And meanwhile, there's probably a perfectly rational explanation for this. And it turns out there is.
Yeah.
And as we find out, the Gulper is not a red herring. It's basically what the scientists from Vault 4, which, by the way, we saw in the commercial, the Hawthorns. Interestingly enough, by the way, that he's framing it in the holotape, which is what they call it. Interestingly enough, he says that they're overseers, or he is at least the overseer. We don't know if maybe there's a patriarchy going on. I don't know what the hell. But the place is basically run by scientists. There's a little connection to the Vault 4 story from the wiki that it's kind of a little tie because it's a vault run by scientists, unfettered, unchecked. But let it be known that scientists are perfectly capable of running themselves. No, they're not. No, they're not.
Don't let this be a reason for you to not let scientists run. Scientists can run everything.
It's like very valid, line of research still, even though we're about to die.
Touching on that one tiny thing is because right before that or right after that, I can't remember which, I think it's before that, Moldaver saying, I was a scientist, I was getting close to figuring out cold fusion. It's a response that, what if you did find cold fusion? Because meanwhile, I'm looking at this, it seems perfectly innocent. Maybe both sides are wrong because Vault-Tec, this has happened to us in our lives. Nikola Tesla went mad or whatever it was, and they took his inventions, wireless power from way back in the day, etc., shelved all that, harmonic resonance, all that stuff that Nikola Tesla had been working on that we have notes on, but never made it the light of day. This was done, maybe, perhaps, conspiracy tinfoil hat on, by Standard Oil, Rockefellers, the people who run the petrol industry. This, for a fact, they've done. They found a way through legislature to get rid of things like trolleys and mass transportation, especially in cities that were emerging, like in the Midwest and all that stuff, that were trying to cut down on cars and petrol. And because we're starting to face some gas shortages and inflation and stuff like that, they found a way to get rid of trolleys and their little transportation. Nice try. American, cars, blah, drive across the country. Let's develop interstates, whatever. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is the opposite is also true. I can see the other side. And you do see that by way of the scientists' experiments going against them. What if you introduce a thing, and as wonderful as that thing is, cold fusion, let's say, could be wonderful, but if the world isn't ready for it, then your economy collapses. Everything your economy is built on collapses. People talk about this all the time. If you invent the thing that revolutionizes everything, if you don't phase it in properly enough, you sitting at home, your life all of a sudden goes down the toilet just because of that. And so there is both sides to that situation. As much as I want to side with Moldaver in that one instance, and it's odd that I feel that way about what is supposed to be the Flame Mother. Oh, everybody knows Moldaver. She's the worst. She went into Lucy's vault and took her father. You're supposed to feel a certain way about her. And here she is making perfect sense because we know Vault Tech sounds horrible. So,
well, not only that, but those of us that are woke, we know all about the productization of Americans, right? Or of the world, actually. Everything is a product. We're a product.
You're talking about like in our waking life.
Us woke folks.
I don't think it's woke. I think it's cynical. I feel like that's more mainstream now. The idea that you are the product, your data is the product, that's something we all should know. And we enter into a bargain, all this free stuff that we feel entitled to now after 30 years. We feel entitled to free email when it wasn't free before. We feel entitled to a free and open internet. Since when? Since 40 years, 30 years ago. But we entered into a bargain that in exchange for our data, they made these things free. They opened it up. We set the table so that we can have this great innovation. And Vault-Tec isn't any different, is it? Because in exchange for a safe place to live, here are all our products. You get them for free, but we harvest because you're the experiment. We brought it back to the episode now. Thank God. Here are all these products. Enjoy Fancy Lads and Yum Yum Brand's deviled eggs. Yeah. Well, isn't this great? So much of it. It's great. It's awesome. But we're going to experiment on you. And you're going to birth a gulper that eats you after you birth it?
Yeah, horrible.
Which is what they were doing. And Vault 4, they're just doing their best to kind of save them, maybe, hopefully, or euthanize them.
He's like, that creature was my great uncle Peter.
Yeah.
My mom's side. You're getting all emotional. This is my past. Well, that explains that.
Again,
first of all.
This episode was just, it was so funny.
Yeah.
Literally laugh out loud funny several times.
Come on, the pinnacle. You are sentenced to death. He pulls out the sword. It looks like something from a game from Neverwinter Nights or some, what was the game that you, Baldur's Gate? Some other
Baldur's Gate,
yeah. There you go.
Yeah,
look at Baldur's Gate sword. It's sentenced to death on the top side. And then he starts...
Banishment to the top side.
Did it look to you like he was doing something else when he was sawing at those bonds? Like,
yes, it did. And he's like, almost
there. I
did
not catch that.
Almost there. Almost got it. And I was like,
oh my gosh.
No, I immediately knew what he was doing. However, my brain didn't catch up in time. I wasn't thinking, you guys are perverts. It's really weird.
No, I knew what he was doing, but the angles were not flattering.
I knew what he was doing, but
that was a choice.
It was like, I felt like I was watching a really weird Shake Weight commercial.
I mean, he is a one-eyed. He is a one-eyed monster. Not to be racist about it, but kidding.
Oh my gosh,
stupid. Well, okay. I made a pun. Just to be clear, I made a pun about a one-eyed monster, and that's what sometimes people call a penis.
I'm confused as to how that's racist.
Well, because
it's like, what did he call them? Surfies? Cyclops.
Remember he was called Surfies on the... That's what I was kind of making.
Are you offending all the Cyclops?
I'm offending all the Cyclops
in the world?
All the...
Cyclops.
Oh, what do you call multiple cyclopods?
Nope.
Cyclopods. Oh my gosh.
That's not right.
Cyclopods.
I hear the fiddles calling me. So Francisco said a couple things. He's going to be a behemoth by season 4.
Thaddeus.
Oh my gosh.
Thaddeus. So you're saying super mutants. So I feel it in your face, Karina. You're saying super mutants eventually evolve even further to become behemoths?
I don't know how it's supposed to work. A behemoth is a really, really large super mutant.
A really big super mutant.
Yeah. So, I mean, in gaming terms, you could consider it like a boss. If super mutants are difficult enemies, then a super mutant behemoth would be like the boss of that area, kind of.
I was going to say, to quote Frieza from Dragon Ball Z by way of Francisco's GIF in our Discord.
It's not.
No,
it's a GIF.
You're wrong.
This isn't my final form.
Right,
anyway,
exactly.
Sorry. So,
just as a side note, there are super mutant hounds too. So and like and feral hounds. So like dogs.
Wait, dogs
in general,
can be ghouls?
Kind of, yeah. The feral, ghoulish looking hounds and super mutant hounds. So most of the dogs that you encounter in Fallout are like grotesque and skinless looking, like ghouls, or
that's what happens when
green.
you can't take them into the vaults.
Exactly.
All right, you've changed my
They're all,
mind.
like,
You've changed my mind. I've
mutated and
softened.
horrible. So, like, CX404 being a normal dog is probably not something that the ghoul has really encountered much of or at all in this 200 years. So that also, too, might be kind of a different experience for him. Inversely, dog meat from all the games. He's like the only dog that's not a mutated monster dog.
It's the only dog that's not a nightmare to look at.
Yes.
It says a lot about the games. Also.
Well, like all the animals are mutated and
ratty and
turned
two-headed.
into crazy versions of themselves. Almost none of them are nice. I think somebody corrected me in the chat that there are chickens in Fallout 76 or something like that. So there are chickens in Fallout. I did see a video of one, and it has no feathers. So.
We got corrected in the comments, if you remember. Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, okay, so there are chickens in Fallout. I stand corrected. Sorry, I've just never seen one. But yeah, the video I saw there, it had no feathers, so it was just like a featherless chicken chasing some guy across a bridge. So
yeah,
gross.
What's Vault 33's experiment?
That's so interesting the way she said that. What was your experiment? And she's like, well, there isn't one. And the way she looked at her, almost like, really, there isn't one.
You haven't figured it out yet, have you?
Corn.
Yeah.
Corn.
They're
experimenting on corn.
Potatoes.
Potatoes
were their experiment.
Taters.
Yeah, I was gonna say Tatos is just another call out, another shout out to Lord of the Rings. Did you notice the little giraffe pillow that was in Cooper's house?
In Cooper Howard's house?
Uh-huh.
Oh.
On the couch.
On the couch.
Is this when he's toying with the idea of
it's when he's sitting on the couch and he's smoking his pipe and he's petting Roosevelt. Right next to Roosevelt, there's a little giraffe pillow. And I was like, Last of Us shout out.
Maybe.
Also, in that same scene, when he's looking at the little device, there's a Tesla magazine. Yep. So that is a magazine that you can read and follow. And also, interestingly, because we brought up Tesla earlier. So
interesting. Nikola Tesla, Elon Musk made a company called Tesla. But on the back of the magazine, it was like funny. We have pieces of the same scene because on the back of that magazine, it says something to the effect of "Drive now, fly later" or something. I have to find exactly what it is.
Almost like a flying car DLC for the car.
This goes. Let me just say the thing and then we'll go back to what it exactly says. We said on the show, first episode, we said, well, this was shaping up to look like the Jetsons. What did the Jetsons have? First of all their towns were on platforms in the sky and they had flying cars, essentially. And so this is what that was alluding to is, it could drive in, fly out is what it's in the back of the magazine. So it's like we were right there. We're touching the future, as Miss Williams says. We're touching the future. We're here.
Yeah.
But are things better? We have more in common with our enemies, quote unquote.
Yeah.
Can we talk about how Barb just kind of dropped the no dogs stuff on Cooper? Like instead of coming to him and being like, look, they said we're not going to be able to bring dogs in. She just kind of drops it into conversation around Janie.
Does dovetail to what I said before the episode with the morning squaffy. She says it in such a way that she is panicking. This is going to happen. Don't you see what I'm doing? He doesn't know that the fallout's going to happen and that she's just managing chaos. She was like me in the Wegmans produce aisle saying, bitch, get a regular potato. We're going to die.
Sweet potato is not the most important problem right now. Like,
who cares? She is me. And I felt that. I saw what she was trying to do, but it's like,
Evelyn would fully unalive you if you called her the B word.
Don't say that word. Just say kill you. Kill. Why can't we say kill? Why can't we do? I want to say kill all day.
Is so much funnier.
So much more trendy.
It's mostly on TikTok that I see people doing that.
And now it's spread to Instagram.
Yeah.
I follow Fallout information on Google News. They recommend stories to me all the time. And there was a story today about a cooking simulator game that has released a Fallout-inspired download DLC add-on.
Oh.
And you have to set up a kitchen and cook using the ingredients that would be available to you in a situation like Fallout, like rad roaches.
Rad roaches.
I want to download this game just so I can download that one particular part of it and play it.
Making dinner tonight, right before we did this podcast, we had like stew meat in little chunks or whatever. We didn't use them in stew. I just made them and put them on a plate and with some vegetables. And I was like, if I was pressed to find like something to equate to the Fallout universe, this would be like mole rat chunks. Like, little chunks of meat.
How immersive.
Or I know, or iguana bits or something like that. I was like, yeah, I could definitely see that working. And I was like, how would I make potatoes though? I'm like, should I just make mashed potatoes and put a bunch of ketchup in it and like make it red? Like,
I'll get back to you on
potatoes and
that.
ketchup go with each other. Anyway,
Except French
it was
fries.
an interesting thought I had right before.
Unless you're Jadis and you just pour the ketchup on all the fries, you don't do that, you dip it. Anyway, what I wanted to say, what I thought you were going to say, Karina, was there is a Fallout cookbook. And how I know about that, it's very limited because you can only do so much and they will sub things out. But more importantly, it tells you how to make all the various Nuka-Colas, Nuka-Cola varieties at the very least. I found this out from following an account called Mrs. Fallout on Instagram. She's exploring different ruins in her area, etc., or she's like simulating herself in the wasteland, etc. But occasionally she'll whip out the cookbook and show you how to make, or show everybody as she is making the different Nuka-Colas like Quantum and Cherry something or other. Who gives them? I don't know. But it's interesting.
Yeah.
You can literally buy this cookbook, make your own version of Nuka-Cola if you wanted to. It's pretty cool.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. So buy yours today. If I have the link to it, I will put it in our blog so that you can make mole chunks meat.
Mole rat chunks.
Mole rat, dog, mole meat.
Mole meat.
Dog meat, mole meat, lizard meat.
Yeah. Iguana bits.
Iguana bits.
Death claw steaks.
Yeah, I was going to say death claw steaks.
Yaguai ribs.
There we go.
I want my
Mutt chops is what dog actually is called. Mutt chops.
Fallout.
Yaguai ribs.
My favorite, bloat fly steak. That is.
So what do you mean? What? You're saying it wrong.
Wildly.
It's bloaty. Bloaty
Bloaty.
steaks. We
Anyway.
don't know. What if it's better than death claw steaks?
I don't know.
Yeah,
To
what
quote
if it's the
Jules
best?
from Pulp Fiction, sewer rat may taste like pumpkin pie, but I wouldn't know because I never eat the effing effer.
Nicely done. You're like, I said all the words, but I modified them.
Oh my gosh.
Let me finish what Francisco was saying. Okay, people these days would not survive a day without the internet, thanks to all the free stuff because of our
Maybe.
data. They took our data. They took our data. Vault 4, not the weirdest vault. See, this is what I was going to get to, actually. Vault 4, not the weirdest vault of all time, but gotta love free supplies from vaults without raiding them. Lucy was lucky as hell until Maximus destroyed it. I saw
Smashed them.
He smashed it up.
It
I'm like,
was
well,
so funny.
that's a waste,
I
Maximus.
was like, not the
Come
yum
on,
yum
man.
deviled egg.
not the fancy lads cupcakes things. Come on. All the
So sad.
oysters in the world. It's can't.
There's some Nuka-Colas in there.
Oh, yeah.
I
Yeah.
love that he hesitated
Terrible.
between her and the popcorn for like a good 60 seconds.
I know.
I noted that as well.
Yeah.
There was a lot going on in that one moment because the first of all, you're like thinking he's thinking the same thing and that you would like, oh, I got to go for this. But then he looks at the popcorn with disgust. He's
No,
looking at it
I
going,
saw him like debating,
He was
like
debating.
popcorn or Lucy.
yeah, no.
Yeah,
At first,
like,
yes.
Popcorn.
But then it
Should I stay
shifted.
here
It
for popcorn?
turned to. I thought it was really well done. It turned is like I don't really even want this anymore.
But then
Some
he takes
things are
one
more
more
important.
handful.
Yeah, exactly. Of course, I can't quit you. We're all cowards, Rachel. We're all,
I mean, it's
we're all
popcorn.
cowards.
Faced between
Popcorn's delicious.
possibly the love of your life and popcorn. I mean, who wouldn't be torn?
Listen, it took seconds. Okay, cut him some slack. That's acting. That's poetic license. Listen,
Just kidding.
for all the S we give
Look,
Maximus sometimes, Aaron Clifton Moten is amazing.
he has hot showers, dude.
I
I would
know.
be
You
like,
say this on The Walking Dead all the time. Ice cream and hot showers. Boom.
Yeah.
I will.
So-
Yeah.
Exactly. I will
I'm a
bowl
quick,
you.
I'll be a quick sellout. Sorry.
All your dogs are dead.
No, I draw the line at dogs.
Oh my
I draw the
gosh.
line
I'm
at dogs.
kidding. I'm kidding. I'm totally.
No,
I'm.
my
Taco-
dog,
full of
my
tacos
dogs
and
are
hot
going to come and eat
showers.
your ice cream.
I'll allow it. Keep the ice cream coming. I'll allow it. It's fine. That's like the best of both worlds. No joke. Okay, you get dogs and you get ice cream, and yes, they may eat your ice cream every now and again, but you'll get more ice cream. It's a sacrifice I'm willing to take. Do we have to go back to the Red Rocket Station? No, but I just found it interesting
Yes,
that
we do.
for folks to visualize that scene, two ghouls walk into a Red Rocket. Assumedly, two ghouls are the only people that end up being at the Red Rocket. He wasn't a ghoul then, but he became one. So Thought that was an interesting tie.
Or a super mutant. I don't think he's a ghoul. He's a super mutant. But yes,
I'm with you.
The Red Rocket Station. I have to bring it up because I put it in the Discord chat earlier this week because I was like blown away by how similar the comparison is. It's a perfect example of the attention and detail that this show has been given. It's literally almost shot for shot exactly like the Red Rocket Station from Fallout 4. So trying to remember this from memory. So from left to right, we start with the gas prices.
Right, $139 for Class C coolant.
Yeah, or like 113, I think, a gallon for that, the actual rocket itself and the beams that are supporting, the overhang or whatnot. Like the rocket coming up is identical. You pan over and you've got the little cooler that Thaddeus ends up putting CX-404 into, which that whole interaction was kind of adorable, even though I was like, don't put her in there. Like, that sounds horrible. And he's like, he's like,
okay, bye.
The lid. You can breathe, right? Okay.
I didn't even know there was a hole there. Like, he didn't care at that, but he's like, okay, lady.
Like, look, you
felt
got
a little bad.
You got a little window.
You're a
I feel a lot better now for putting a dog in a cooler.
Right. But yeah, next to that, there's a milk vending machine. So in the actual station, that milk vending machine is on the backside of the building. So they brought it to the front for the show so you could see it next to the Nuka-Cola machine, there's also one there. And then there's a yellow power armor station. It just looks like this yellow framework, but basically that's a power armor station. That's where you can park your power armor to work on it in the games. So that is inside the building on the image for the one from the game, but in the show, it's outside. It's just right outside for anyone to use, which is
can't wait to show that because I didn't pay attention. Listen, for all my crap I give about dogs and whatever I don't care about, I do. I was intent on, okay, you're just going to leave them in a cooler? I was not looking at anything else.
I know.
No. But you caught it.
Yeah, well, actually, I didn't in the first watch through. In Fallout 4, it's one of the first locations you find outside of like the main location of Sanctuary. And it's where you find Dogmate. So you find the dog there. So that's a callback to the fact that he trapped CX-404 there and then the ghoul had to find him. The side-by-side photo really brought it to full attention in my mind because you can see they even in the Red Rocket lettering, the logo, it's missing the same letters. So they literally pulled this image from Fallout 4 to use as a reference.
Shot for shot.
For this. Yeah, almost identical. Like it is so close. And this is what I've been saying through the whole thing. Everything I'm looking at in the show, I can't express enough how identical it is to everything in the games. Like they have done such a good job of making sure that this feels as much like the game as it possibly can.
I see it now. The yellow scaffolding for the power armor.
It's a power armor station. Yeah,
I wouldn't know it by looking at it, though, to be honest with you. Yeah, but
if you've not played, you wouldn't know. And you haven't seen anyone using it in the show, so you wouldn't know what it is. But it's just interesting. They pulled those details from the location to the front of the building so you can see them just as a treat, I guess, for gamers.
The creators of Fallout going, they're elbowing, you like that?
Yeah, I like that. Like power armor station?
You fans, huh? The rest of you don't know what the heck this is. You guys know. I love you guys.
Go. It just looks like a wrecked station. It just looked like a wrecked gas station, but it's almost exactly. Even the fact that there's forest behind it is kind of the same. It's wasteland behind it. There's not so much trees, but that also kind of brings me, not just for the Red Rocket thing, but the hacking minigame that Norm uses when he breaks into the Overseer's computer. That's literally how you hack computers. The hacking minigame comes up and all these like suggested passwords are mixed in with all this nonsense stuff. And you have to figure out which word is the right one. And you get so many choices. He gets it on the first try. So obviously he's got like a high intelligence score or something.
Shows enthusiasm.
So he gets it like no problem whatsoever.
I have to say, just from a technical standpoint, just to give you the technical standpoint, it's interesting. It's the Overseers. It's Betty Pearson's terminal. It would make sense that she has all the passwords, essentially.
Yeah.
It looks like that because when you look at a database and you're looking at these unique identifiers, we saw a little of this in previous terminals too. We would see the ID badge, the unique identifier for Rose McLean's Pip-Boy. Yes, that's right. And his own, when he logs into the terminal, it shows his own unique identifier as well. A column of unique identifiers, and you see all their passwords, and you have to basically link the unique identifier to the person with their password, essentially. Just from a technical point of view, I like it. It just tickles my fancy.
Yeah. But yeah, it just, the level of detail, and I can't say it enough without sounding like a broken record. Literally, that side by side is going to show exactly what I mean. And the fact that they found this location and turned it into the Red Rocket station, like that's a real gas station. I think Francisco mentioned that in the Discord chat. Right? That's incredible to me that they found a place that sort of already existed and turned it into the Red Rocket station. And it's so exact. Like, it's amazing to me. They didn't just build that from scratch, because they could have.
Isn't it like anything, right? You use the environment to your advantage, and then you can make something out of it. And there's just something magical about it. Listen, I feel like we have to say this every now and again, but we're blessed to get this.
Yeah. For 100%.
For adaptation. We went on and on about adaptations, but we live in the best time of television right now. It's not about movies. It's not the 50s. Let's go to the movie theater and get my sweetie a popcorn and refreshments and little hot dogs that they have at the snack bar. No, we can be at home like Maximus with our own popcorn and be like, this is the best. Let's shove stuff in our face. They do it and we love it. In a world where there's nothing is amazing anymore. We mentioned this before the show. So if you want to do that, you can buy us a coffee and you can listen to all the stupid, dumb things I say before the show. But we live in the best time and nobody is amazed. This is also Louis C.K. skit. And yet we get shows like this where we get to have these really attention to details. They give us so much that we don't even deserve it. But we get it. And it's like, well, shouldn't we appreciate this? This is great.
Yeah. Absolutely.
This is great.
Yeah,
Catering to us.
And that's why it makes me so happy to see it doing so well, because I've seen plenty of shows that don't get as much recognition as much as I love them, and they just die off and we don't get any more because nobody loved it enough to make it popular. So this, I'm so excited, is such a good adaptation, because when you first hear about, they're making a Fallout adaptation, my first thought is always, please don't ruin it. And like, they did not. They did such a good job with it, and I'm very thrilled.
Yeah, it's sort of like what Bridget said about the sci-fi series Defiance, and how it was highly original script, a lot of attention to detail, really, really went hard on their own lore and got high on their own supply. I thought it was great. I really fell hook, line, and sinker. And they lost me a couple times, but then they brought me back and they said, hang in there. We got some good stuff for you. And they did.
Yeah.
But anyway, I 100% agree with you. Just to go to what Francisco says. Okay, first of all, he says cyclopods, laughing at when we said cyclops, multiple cyclopses.
Cyclopods.
He says cyclopod sounds like a detergent brand.
Yeah, it does.
It's cyclopods, yeah. Don't eat them. I'm not much into sodas, but seeing people make the Quantum Nuka cola must be good. It is good. You should check out her Instagram, Mrs. Fallout. Any ice cream with vanilla for me is game. I agree. Something about a good vanilla is fine. Don't mock vanilla. Don't. I'll judge
vanilla
you too.
Is a good flavor.
You want ice cream? Because we got Ice Cream Simon from The Walking Dead. I'll rather eat a pickle popsicle than a coleslaw popsicle. Fair. That's a chance. You're taking a gamble with a cold slaw popsicle. Cold slaw creamery. I hope we see you at the Red Rocket Station again. Maybe next season we will see. Isn't it? It is kind of a shame though, too, because you make this thing maybe once and that's the only time you'll see it. Maybe.
Yeah.
But to Francisco's comment, I hope we see the Red Rocket Station again. Maybe next season we'll see them use that station to work on the power armor and maybe see different versions of the power armor, which we've gotten, we're on the internet. We see the T-45, the T-60, all the different various armor, the vault armor that you mentioned a couple episodes back, I think it was. So
like armored vault suit.
Armored vault suit. Yes, that's what I meant.
Well, there also, you have the ability to customize your power armor as well. You can deck it out with the Minuteman paint, and in the game, the paint, it gives you different bonuses and stuff like that if you have everything decked out in the same theme. But yeah, there are different versions of everything too that will give it different stats and stuff like that. So you might see Titus's armor perhaps modified in some way to fit Maximus's needs better. You never know.
Oh, so okay.
That would be kind of cool.
See him working on it outside the Red Rocket Station.
Especially if he is no longer with the Brotherhood. I don't know, potentially, if he decides to stay with them or not after experiencing, basically falling in love with Lucy. Like if he decides to just take his power armor and run.
That's another thing we have to touch on too. But before we do that, one of the last things Francisco says is, yep, it's the station they use in John Wick where John parks for gas with his dog. Is the original movie, I think it is.
Okay, yeah, the first
coincidence? I think not. It's a closed gas station since 2020. Which it's like a sad part of the tale, right? in a post-pandemic world where so many things close down. Well, to our benefit. Let's touch on a couple things before we get into the actual love bit. But leading into the love story in reverse, you get the sort of, occasionally you do mention The Walking Dead. And in this scenario, you remember Andy from The Walking Dead is mutilating a severed head to pass as Rick Grimes. And I thought of that as soon as Maximus was taking one random head from one of the death traps outside KPSS and making it seem like, oh, well, I got the target, but his face is all bashed in. Charity, you thought the same thing, essentially. I think I asked this in the premiere for the episode we premiered 2 episodes ago, which we're catching up. I had said in one of the polls, do you ship Lucy and Maximus? And basically everybody said yes. But in the show, up until now, you're like, you want it to happen, but you need the scaffolding there for it to happen. Do you think that this episode gave that to you? I don't know. How do you get there, right? How do you get to this point where you can accept it? And Rachel's face tells me I should probably ask her first.
My face isn't loud enough.
Well, she's groaning. She's making a pained face right now.
I don't know why. I just don't.
You're saying it feels forced.
Maybe that is it. From day one, it's like, oh, of course these two are going to get together. Well, that's boring. Sorry.
Well, okay, so I can see it from Maximus's side, right? Because he's never had anything like this. He's never had a relationship. He's never had love. Maybe when he was little, but he's never had.
That's an understatement.
So
yeah.
But for Lucy, while she's never really had a relationship, she's had experiences. She's not a novice. And does this really mean something to her? Because she's been very flippant about sex throughout the whole show. It's not a big deal for her.
Cousin stuff.
Right.
Yep.
Well, and Auntie.
Oh, yeah. Well,
so for
you said it was a snack.
That's what I'm saying.
You didn't know what you meant at the time.
On her end, is it like a real thing, or is she just like, hey, I feel bad for this guy and we could have a fun time, and I think he needs a safe place to live, so I'm going to invite him back to my vault. But is she really serious about it? Or, like I said, she's been very flippant about it. Whereas, again, I can see it on Maximus's side because it's new to him. He's never had it.
I'll say this much. The music really helps, actually, in those scenarios, because one of the songs was Only You by the Platters. That totally helps. Only you can make this world seem right. Only you can make the darkness bright. But there is something to that where Maximus's whole thing from the very beginning is I'm the hero of my own story, probably, but he's seeing the truth now several episodes in, and he's going, I'm not. I try and I fail, and then I kid myself into thinking I am because I watched that guy die. It didn't help him because he was mocking me and threatening me. He says threatening me. But then he fesses up, and kind of like what you said, Karina, on the note of Thaddeus and him fessing up to Thaddeus. Well, the whole bonding experience was predicated on a line. I don't think he wants to repeat that. But Only You, that song is about, I don't care about purpose. I don't care about ambition. I don't care about riches. I don't care about any of that stuff. Because when I'm with you, I'm becoming a better person, which is true. And there's something to be admired about that. Because from the start, he's kidding himself. He wants the status. He wants to be a part of the Brotherhood. He wants to give remember what we said in the first episode? He wants to give his life for the Brotherhood. Why? Because he has lofty ideals or whatever. That's all he's got.
And because he's never lived a life. He has no idea what life is.
That's all he knows.
Yeah.
That's all he knows.
Doesn't it go to Cooper Howard and purpose and having something to lose? Doesn't it go to, I'm bringing it all back, it's going to the snake oil salesman not having any purpose anymore. And so why not? It's like I said in the second episode, I think Stimpax and Plan D. It's like, well, what's the point? If I don't have purpose, what's the point? Then Lucy becomes that thing that you never thought you could be until somebody showed you a different way. Maybe to your point, Rachel, and yours, Charity, technically. Sometimes you find the right person and shows you a way that you didn't thought was a possibility. And is it the person? Or is it that person showed you a way and you have to be with that person? You don't have to. But then sometimes life is short, the wasteland, scarcity. You want to see where this goes. And when you find something like this, you got to hold on to it and see where it takes you. Even if there's an end to that road some point down the line, sometime very soon down the line, maybe. What's the next episode? We don't know. Something horrible might happen. We don't know. But in the meantime, I'm buying in. It helps to have that song, and it helps to have him realize that he can be himself and she's not going to run away because she did a horrible thing too. Threw acid on Dr. Nose.
I don't feel one way about it or another as far as like, do I like it? Do I not like it? I don't really care. It's happening in the story. It's fine. I think that they're genuine in their own ways. Everything that you mentioned about Maximus being maybe never experiencing this kind of thing before, and for Lucy, like Sharon D said, she's very like casual about sex. I don't know that that means that she's casual about the way she feels for Maximus, because everyone else in the wasteland that she's met has tried to kill her or take something from her or is just generally weird. So she's met this guy who seems like he wants to be honorable, wants to be a good man. I think that's enough for her to say, hey, we should try to see where this goes. Coming from a vault dweller where your prospects are very limited, she literally had to go outside the vault and she was willing to take a complete stranger as her husband because there is no other option. Now she's seeing this person, and maybe the first time she's ever felt like she could choose that person instead of have it chosen for her, or have it not be an option because of their cousins or whatever.
Forbidden love. No,
right.
But there are two things to that. I think it's kind of like moving to a new place. It doesn't have to be forever. It could be. It doesn't have to be forever.
Yeah.
And that's fine. The fallout happened. How much life can you have? But there's another thing. It's one of the strangest things that you gloss over when you don't really think about it is during the reception after they get married, Monty and Lucy, she immediately jumps into sperm counts. And then when you take that and pin that onto what Maximus looks like, I think there's something appealing to her about not knowing what to expect next. This is not a cookie cutter vault dweller situation where everything is sort of planned out. Everybody has a role. Everybody's a worker bee. And so seeing Maximus want to strive for more, even if sometimes that thing is not great, there's something to both of them wanting to be a better person in what you said, Sharon D, which is you can't go back to the farm after they're seeing the lights of the city or the prairie, you said? I forget what it was.
The lights of Paris.
Oh, Paris. All right.
Paris.
It's similar. It's similar to that. It's like, well, I'm a different person. It goes back to the vault wells. Even though this is the same looking vault, I'm a different person.
She's also, their whole point of the vault was to repopulate the earth, right? I mean, that she even says that if your sperm count isn't right, then you can't repopulate the earth if you don't have sperm. Well, now she's had that whole reason destroyed because it already happened. So she doesn't feel bound to that anymore.
So who is she as a person without it?
She doesn't have to be that person.
And maybe she never had to be is also another, like an extra step, is that you realize, oh, I didn't have to be this person in the first place. The wasteland opens up a whole vista, essentially. But I do want to go back, listen, like you said, laugh out loud funny when they kiss, and they kiss twice, and then DJ Clark, is that his name? Yeah. DJ Clark looks on and goes, yeah. And they kiss again, and he goes, yeah. He gives it that face where he's like, that's sweet. Okay, now I'm going to close this and not be a creepazoid. Let them do their thing. But then there's the extra thing, which is, as if that wasn't funny enough, the two heads are sort of kissing as well.
Yeah.
Two heads that they're holding. One whose face is smashed in.
That was my favorite part of that whole thing.
Michael Emerson, what they did with your prosthetic
kissing.
head.
I know.
Stinky old head.
Michael Emerson kiss. Exactly. Oh,
now
I don't know.
Oh my gosh.
Now kiss. It's cute. It's cute. Very Fallout.
Yeah. Cute.
Listen, we can go all day into a lot of other things, like even drilling down into the Moldaver Cooper Howard interaction with Charlie Whiteknife, looking on, going in horror at this horror show that's going on. I don't have too much to say about that. I just think it's interesting. We touched on the McCarthyism aspect. Like, she doesn't have to be a communist to be called a communist. I can agree to that. But I do see that this episode is showing you the other side of that story. Only to probably, like, I think it's Francisco who said it, a minefield of plot twists in the last episode, which is like, okay, you thought the ghoul was bad this episode. Now you'll see why you're wrong. And Moldaver is actually bad. You were right the first time, and you should be wary about her. She is called the Flame Mother, after all.
I didn't feel like the ghoul was bad.
You're a bad person.
That was not my take.
You're a bad person?
Everyone,
no,
I think everybody exists in a gray area. Doesn't he also say a good villain doesn't believe that they're evil?
Right.
Yeah.
Which is true. You can say it's true of the ghoul himself. He doesn't believe what he's doing. Maybe he doesn't believe what he's doing is evil.
Sure.
He's just doing what he needs to do to survive. maybe what Moldaver is doing, she doesn't believe she's evil in what she's doing, even though from Lucy's perspective, she steals dads.
She's a daddy stealer.
Yeah, and I'm sure the Enclave doesn't believe what they're doing is evil.
Right. It's all about what you're willing to set aside. We've all said this in various capacities because we're all sus. It's that, well, what are you willing to set aside to survive? Or to make things better? Or to be the hero of your own story?
Exactly. And think about Cooper's wife, too. She believes she's doing what she needs to do.
Freaking out about no having dogs.
As
long as they get a
to save
good
not
place.
only her family, but also the rest of the people of the world. But it's like you're working for a company that potentially is going to make money off of the end of the world. So she doesn't believe what she's doing is evil. She believes what she's doing is going to help people ultimately, and her family, which, obviously we're all to a certain point self-motivated for self-preservation, and
we're all
protecting
cowards.
people we love,
We're all C. Howards.
So
I frustrate myself sometimes. I'm sorry.
Showards.
we're all cowards.
Showards.
That's the Spanish word for coward. Showards. So Francisco says, I'm laughing before I read it. I think they should have kissed much early. And when they kissed, I was like, meh. I'm okay. I needed the gateway. I needed a little entry point to make it okay. And I was okay. It's sweet. Whatever. I'm a grown man. Maximus wants to give his own ice cream to Lucy now. No, I'm not editing this out.
No, he wants to give her
ice cream cone.
Wants to give her the pickle.
Yeah, it's pickle ice cream. It's pickle pop. He said, oh, wait. What a surprise. I ship them, but I hope they don't sync with the height of having a relationship with when both are from different places, different cultures. That will disrupt how they want to be happy. I like that take. I think that's fun. I think that could be a fun thing to play with. Would you want to live in my vault? I thought that was a little sweet.
We don't have oysters, but we have canned tuna.
Isn't that adorable?
If you like oysters, you'll like tuna.
Francisco says, yep. I also believe almost every villain doesn't believe they're the bad guy. To add to that, they believe they're the hero of their own story, like Negan, right? Your favorite character. Because Francisco, Negano, because of their own story, because the lines are always blurring in a dystopia where laws mean jack.
Yeah,
I agree.
True.
Everybody's a coward, and yet everybody in the story is, in their own way, trying to rise above their own station / circumstance, maybe. And like you said about Barb, it's definitely sympathetic. Because if you feel like the thing is a foregone conclusion, you're just scrambling to get people in the escape pods. Isn't that? And that's...
Yeah. She thinks she's doing the best thing she can.
For her family, not just her. So I get it. Maybe Moldaver too. Not quite sure. The feeling in my tummy says otherwise. But and I do feel that about Cooper Howard still because of that first damn scene in the series. But man, are they and that's good. They should challenge my sensibilities. They should activate a little disgust mechanism. We should be realistic about us living behind a television screen, seeing the thing and going, well, shouldn't we react in a way? Shouldn't we have a little disgust? A little bit of like, I don't like that. But then obviously second watch, digging into that feeling and not trusting your first instincts, right, Rachel? We've talked about this sometimes. You shouldn't. You should just give it another thought and maybe you'll think differently. Like this podcast. It's our whole thing. It's our jam. Our jam is about second analyses and thinking differently than our first watch, hopefully, and maybe liking the thing more after that watch.
Or you only watch it once, and that's what you're stuck with.
Yeah, that's what you're stuck with. But then you jump on a podcast, Rachel, and then you're like, I didn't see that because I didn't watch the second time. I didn't take notes. That's what makes you lovely. Makes you lovely. Okay. Well, folks, if you like this podcast on second watch, God help you if you watch this 2 times. But if you did, or if you didn't, head over to ratethispodcast.com/squawkingdead. 5 stars in a stim pack. It's all we need to know that you love us. Tell us what you liked. Tell us what you didn't like. Tell us anything after every episode. And if you really like what we're doing and you really think we're onto something, and I have to say, the budget for this podcast has grown exponentially, ×4, I think, and we really could use your help. We got an editor. We're going to see how that goes. We want to do more things. We want to do it for you. We want to increase the quality for you, and we could really, really use your help to make that happen. In exchange, we offer the unedited episode recordings for when you tip us. You get instant access to our Discord when you tip us too. You don't have to join a membership tier. If you like what we're doing, throw us a couple bucks. That's fine. $3, you'll get some Discord access. And if you join a membership tier, you get a little bit more Discord access for as little as $1 a month. And if you join the Whispers and the Survivors tier, the mid and highest tier, Whisperers get certain perks You go to our Ko-fi shop, you can download a whole bunch of things for free, maybe, probably. You get 50% off in the merch store, both Survivors and Whispers. You get shout outs at the end of this episode, obviously, probably on the screen right now. And the way to do that is just start by following us for free on either Ko-fi or Patreon. That's ko-fi.com/squawking dead or patreon.com/squawking dead. Ko-fi's where you tip and join a membership tier. Patreon's just membership tiers. And if you happen to join the Survivors tier, like our newly minted Survivors tier, Randy, alongside real Ryan GM on X, and Randy is Snick3 on all the social. By the way, he's been a supporter for years. He's on the Whispers tier level, but never joined the tier. And I've always wanted to say Randy's name over and over again, but he just never took that step. And he's a big Fallout fan. So I'm just going to give him a happy extra little shout out other than words on the screen. So thank you, Randy, for joining the Survivors tier. And I eagerly await you joining us for your favorite show currently, and maybe you could join us for the last episode. It's an open invite for just that episode since you just joined it, but he's entitled as a Survivors tier member to join us on face and screen, mic and headphones to break down these episodes with us, as do all Survivors tier members are entitled to. So with that, everybody, thank you so much for joining us. I've been your host, David Cameo, and you were joined by Cosmo Mom 09 Rachel Burt, putting on my radio voice, Sharon D, aka Blazy Gardner.
Bye.
And Karina David, you can reach on Instagram at CARINAE_D.
What shows are we going to be covering coming up?
House of the Dragon, The Boys, The Walking Dead, Daryl Dixon, Book of Carol, Ramalama Ding Dong, F Your Mother, Slap Her in the Face. That's the title of the show. So don't.
Oh my gosh.
AMC, get your act together.
DDBOC
YM STFU LMAO
TFU
TTYL TTFN BBQ
Toodles and Anon.
That's what the show should. The Walking Dead, Daryl Dixon, Book of Carol, Toodles and Anon.
and Anon.